A lot will be transformed in your life when God put you in obscurity for introspectional purposes and mental transformation, as well as for you to be prepared for personal development for what assignment is connected to your name. So when God wants you to change or to use you, to utilize you in the most lucrative way, he positioned you by isolating you. Like, I feel like I have experienced isolation. Either when I got burned, when I've been in hospital, I felt isolated, segregated from the world of teenage years, of having fun, of just getting to know myself. Little did I know I was actually being transformed or isolated in order for me to be elevated. And I feel like a lot of people are also going through that, where you feel like people are already telling you that you've changed, you don't like people anymore, or you just change the ways of doing things. You have new strategies on how to do your things every day. Your daily routines, they have changed. The way you even speak, the way you carry yourself changes, and you start hearing people telling you that you've changed, but sometimes you don't even know that you are actually in a position of isolation, or you are being developed in obscurity. Sometimes you don't understand what's going on when people say you've changed or you are glowing and you are positioned to be elevated. So when God wants to utilize you, he starts changing your habits, your routines, your desires, your visions, your missions, because he wants to use you to be profit orientated. And profit orientated doesn't really mean just financially, but he just needs you to be so useful that you will transform the minds of many transgressors or many sinners or your friend or your families. You are being positioned to change the generational poverty, to end it, and all the generational curses to be eliminated and nullified. So in that season, God makes sure that you are capacitated. You have the capacity and you are positioned to be capacitated in order to transform your life and people around you. God changes your desires, the way you dress up. Like, you will literally change how you dress up, how you speak, how you hang around, the people you hang around with. You change friends and family members. You end up comprehending the imperativeness of being alone and hearing God's presence or feeling God's presence in your life. So in that season of isolation, he changes your appetite. You stop eating several food, the food that you thought you loved the most. You just stop loving it, and then you crave differently, you taste differently, because God is now recreating a new heart in you for you to be prepared for the transformational moment in your life. So I feel I have really experienced such, where I just changed the way I behave, and I call it I became matured very quickly. So I don't know if you guys experience such, where people tell you,
I'm an Asian woman and I'm
sorry about that. So you change friends, you change people you hang around with, and that's when enemies or enmity is created between you and the world outside, because now you have closed and muted every distraction that is upon your life, because you are isolated. You don't want to hear any pessimistic people. You don't want to hear pessimistic songs. Even your music taste also changes, because God needs you to be in a tranquil or tranquility moment in order for you to hear him speak. And I would like to reference this in the Bible. God isolated the Israelites, and it wasn't one person, it was a nation. The whole chosen nation was isolated. It was in the wilderness. They didn't know where they are. They are being slaves. They're working really hard. They are suffering and are suffocating, being penetrated in the land that you don't even know it's in the middle of nowhere. When God isolated the whole nation and they were in the wilderness, he already had a strategic resource being implemented for them to be rescued, right? He had Moses that he loves the most. He had Joshua as well. When Moses died, God said, as I was to Moses, I will be to you, Joshua. You shall not be fearful, you shall just be courageous. So sometimes God will put you in a position to go and rescue your family from generational poverty or generational curses that your grandparents or grandchildren or the previous generation in your family suffered from and died from without, or they have failed to win the battle. So now God is putting you in the position that your parents or your grandparents failed to qualify for because of the destruction of this world. Now Joshua had to take over Moses, but he was like, where am I gonna get the strength? And God said, do not be afraid, just be courageous. And right now, if you feel like now you're in a position to take over as a head of the house, you have to provide financially to your family, you have to look after your parents, your siblings, just know that God has positioned you to be a father figure or mother figure or a sister figure in order for you to remove the curse that is in your family, or just be the one breaking the generational poverty so that the curses does not carry on or be inherited, because sometimes we inherit failure instead of success in our families because nobody was positioned or capacitated enough to abolish or nullify the poverty or the curses. So God took the Israelites from the wilderness. When they came into the wilderness, actually, they changed their taste. They started eating angelic food. Imagine being in an environment or ambience where you are eating angelic food. Oh my God, I would love to experience that. Why do angels eat? I mean, I love pizza, I love pies. Now I have to change that appetite. I have to change loving those things and start eating angelic food, which means you are now being elevated to the highest level. So they started eating angelic food. Little did they know, during that isolation, they are being in obscurity. They are being prepared and positioned for success. And God ensured that the Israelites were taken by Joshua to the promised land. They didn't just go to the promised land. They inherited the wealth and the resources, the minerals that they were enslaved to do. When they left the wilderness, they were wealthy. So your suffering is not equivalent to the grace of God. God will anoint you with innumerous and success that you never expected. So they were able to be in slavery for so many years, but just that year or that month, in fact that day when God decided to set them free, all those years that they were suffered, it was squeezed and made in one day, and they became wealthy. So whatever that you're going through right now, if you are suffering, just know that you have wealth to inherit. Thank you so much for taking your time to watch this video. I hope it touches you, because your isolation can lead to your elevation. Thank you.